Hi guys, and welcome to another video on finance careers. And this is about my recommended six books which any student or working professional who's willing to make a career into investment finance should be reading. All right, and if you have not read this before, then I would strongly recommend that you start with my first on the list. Okay, so the first book on the list is going to be a very basic book which people might have heard about but might have not actually read it, which is The Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Okay, so this is the book which I read in class 11th, and this is what motivated me to actually learn finance rather than going into a technical field, right? So I was basically from a science background, but after reading this book, and since I was always interested in investment stocks and making money, so this was the first book I got hands on, and this was more from a coincident point of view. So the book basically talks about how we perceive success and how we perceive money versus what the real people who actually make money have the mindset on, right? So it will also introduce you to the concept of real teacher versus fake teacher, right? So we spend so much time on the college education and trying to learn from school. The problem is in what Robert Kiyosaki uh, put stress on is that your real teachers are in the market, right? And what is actually required is the skill versus what calculus you learn, or what concepts you learn on the book, right? It will also introduce you to the broad understanding of cash flows, right? Why cash flows are important, right? And the main thing is that this book really is not about investment strategies, but without reading on the mindset of investments and investment careers, you cannot really go and read about in-depth strategies, right? So this is the mindset book. Now let's look at the second recommendation. My second recommendation which you should read is obviously related to Robert Kiyosaki, and the reason why I recommend the second book also, which is a continuation from The Rich Dad Poor Dad, is the Cash Flow Quadrant. Now this book I recommend mainly because you tend to understand these are the kind of knowledge which you should have had when you are either moving out of college, or maybe you are entering college, to understand what you're getting into, right? So after the whole reason of you doing any activity, be it whether you're learning finance, whether you're learning engineering, is to earn money, right? And is to earn a livelihood, right? No matter what philosophically you might say that yes, the journey is important. Yes, obviously the journey is important, but the end goal of any journey is obviously the monetary benefit as well, right? So it introduces you to different kinds of monetary compensation that you can get from either employment, either business, either self-employment, and either investments, right? So that's what this book is about. And before reading investment strategies, it's always good to know what you are getting into, right? So if you're talking about employment, you should know what employment is, right? And how is it different from self-employment, right? So this is my second book recommendation that everyone should learn first before jumping into those deep books. What I've seen is people tend to start with books like Intelligent Investor, but they do not understand first the premise, right? The fundamental, right? You cannot build a house without building the foundation. So these two books are the foundation books which will set your mindset, set your attitude, and then you can now build on the knowledge, right? So my third book recommendation, after obviously building the foundation, is the Market Wizards book by Jack, right? Now why do I recommend this book? Because when and this was with me as well, that when I started off with investments and reading it about investments and making a career into investments, you always have a mindset that a particular strategy should work, right? Or you always try to put investments and trading into two different buckets, right? But the reality is that it really doesn't matter whether you are investing or you're trading, right? ultimately you're investing, right? So the book actually introduces you to different kinds of strategies, right? So no strategy is wrong or no strategy is right. What matters is what you are more comfortable with. And in the book, where you will come across these different kinds of investors and traders, what you will also realize is that everybody has been very disciplined with the strategy, right? And that's the reason why their strategy has worked out, not because the strategy is bulletproof, and that's the reason why they made money. It's pure because of the conviction. So this book will also give you an introduction about different kinds of asset management strategies. And the whole purpose of giving you this entire recommended list is so that you come to know how this entire industry works, right? Versus actually just trying to build on some strategy. That's not the objective. The objective is to get introduced to the entire investment finance industry, right? So my fourth book on the list, after obviously getting to uh, build the foundation and then getting to know the different kinds of possible ways of making money, uh, this is a book on fundamental analysis, and it's by Ashwat Damodaran, and amazing language to learn about fundamental analysis. It will also break the myths or notions you might have about investments, particularly from a fundamental point of view. And some of the concepts that he will get into will give you a perspective. Okay. And you cannot you can make a career into investment finance without obviously doing all of these things, but then we just don't want to make a career, right? We want to make a sustainable career, and we want to enjoy the journey, right? So that journey can only be enjoyed once we have knowledge. And knowledge, it's best to read as much books as possible, right? So I'm giving you the books which I have read myself and which has helped me in my own personal wealth creation as well as my career. So that's the fourth book recommendation, and let's move into the fifth book recommendation, which is One Up Wall Street. Right now, this is a book written by Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch was obviously a fund manager, a mutual fund manager in the US. So, two things you learn from this book. One is how the mutual fund industry works as opposed to what we think, right? But and you'll also understand the biases of the fund management industry, right? For example, one of the interesting things to note will be that when you tend to become a fund manager in an asset management company, you also realize that you do not do anything different. You try to avoid doing anything different from the previous fund manager, right? Because nobody wants to get themselves very wrong, right? So all of these concepts also Peter Lynch will come up to various common sense ways of investing. And it's a beautiful book. If you are want to get an overview of fund management from a fund manager, then this is the book to read, right? The next book, which is my last recommended book, is from an Indian author, and this is also more of an interview format book. So this interview format book is nice to read because then you tend to get a lot of perspectives in one single book, as opposed to reading one strategy book, right? And this is specifically for people who are beginning in this careers, right? I'm not talking about people who have already made their career into investment finance, right? So rather than going out with Intelligent Investor or reading those complex books, it's best to start with this books, build on this, and then you can obviously decide which specialization you want to look at. The final book is The Gurus of Chaos, written by Saurav Mukherjee. Again, this is a book in which he has done one-on-one interviews with the top fund managers, and you get a perspective on how they think about choosing stocks versus what is their philosophy on investments. So those are my 6 recommended books which you should read, and in this order. Do not try to change the order, because then you will not really appreciate every book which I have recommended, right? So that's a very short video on my 6 recommended books, and thank you for watching, and please do subscribe our channel. Visit us on www.mentormecareer.com, and do like and share the video if for those who actually would be needing this. Thank Thank you so much. My name is Alan Arvindan, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.